The 2021 Limerick Hurling Preview brought to you by orgaretro.com. If you, for some reason, want to get the Down GA jersey, or if you want to get that Limerick jersey that Michael Verney is wearing there, go to orgaretro.com, put in the promo code OurGame and you'll get 15% off. Does John Kiely have to change anything this season? Limerick have won 2 of the last 3 All-Irelands, and for my money, they are heavy short odds to do it again.
Well, I tell you what, if you look at it after 2018 and you're thinking, do they need to change much or whatever? Like haven't Limerick changed some amount since 2018? Like they basically won an All-Ireland essentially last year without scoring goals. They've realised that, I suppose, with the quality of player that they have out the pitch and the ability of lads to stroke over a ball from 100 yards, a lot of the time they don't need to penetrate the goal as much as they would have before. So they definitely have evolved an awful lot. It'd be interesting to see what they do differently though, because like they will do things differently. They definitely will not allow themselves to be in any way stagnant or anything like that, and the way Paul Kinnerk and John Kiely and these guys operate, that they'll try to push things on another level. So I do see things changing. You look at, like, sometimes you think, who are the new players going to be? Are there going to be any new players that we've never heard of before?
Well, they have called up a few that I'll just call them out. Cathal O'Neill, he's a very tall, brilliant underage hurler. Cathal O'Neill, Colin Coughlin, Tommy Hayes, Barry Murphy is back as well. Paddy O'Loughlin has left the setup for personal reasons. Now, Paddy O'Loughlin seemed like the obvious guy to come in at wing back last year, but they actually rejigged things. Barry Nash was in defence at different times, and obviously Kyle Hayes went wing back, so he kind of missed out a little bit with the rejig when they had different issues last year. But anyway, sorry, I cut in there just because you were asked about young players.
Yeah, no, just on those new players, will we see many of them this year? I don't know. When you have a tried and tested, and it's not a February league or a March league, like you'll be throwing guys into league, and like the chances of them being used in championship are probably unlikely because they just haven't been exposed to the county setup enough. But you do have like Mike Casey coming back, and you do have Richie English coming back as well. Richie English was ready to go last year, in the last couple of games, last couple of championship games. So he'll be ready to go this year again, and will be pushing for the cornerback spot. Be interesting to see, if Mike Casey is fit, will he come back in a fullback, or will they leave Dan Morrissey a fullback? If Richie English is fit to start, which he should be, will he come in instead of Barry Nash? The Paddy O'Loughlin one is interesting. You couldn't help if that was me in that situation, and I'm thinking I'm an out-and-out wing back, and the team has been jigged around, and all of a sudden Kyle Hayes is at wing back. I'm kind of probably in my head, I'm thinking, okay, where am I in this pecking order? And if Mike Casey and Rich English are coming back, am I totally out of the pecking order completely? That's just what will be going on in my head. But as I said, I don't think there'll be that many new faces, but there will be some new players from last year with Casey and Rich English coming back.
Yeah, I'm just looking through their team. Like, this is from the match programme from the All-Ireland semi-final against Galway last year. And like, Gerard Hegarty put up 4 points, Aaron Gallan put up a number of points, Seamus Flanagan got a few points, Keane Lynch at centre forward, Tom Morrissey going to town. Like, Tom Morrissey was my hurler of the year last year. Gerard Hegarty, I obviously don't begrudge it him at all. He was unbelievable, and it was a toss of a coin between those two. Like, Diarmuid Burns is a scoring option from the half back line. Kyle Hayes is like, he's the new machine at wing back, and every team will be thinking, where can we get ourselves a Kyle Hayes and that attacking dynamic coming from the back. Barry Nash, who was a forward, opting in as the spare man probably in the back line now as well, able to cover ground. Like, there's so many of these players that are just able to cover unbelievable ground. Like, Dan Morrissey slips in full back, not a bother, and then Mike Casey will come back.
And yet you haven't mentioned their most important player, and I'm glad we haven't been on air since.
Who?
No. It's an absolute disgrace, and I'll put it on record again, that Will O'Donoghue didn't get an All-Star last year. It's an absolute farce. To me, he's like, and I know John Milan has said this several times, he's like the Patrick Vieira of this Limerick team. There's lots of brains, and don't get me wrong, there's lots of brawn in this Limerick team, but by Jesus, he brings some physical element to Limerick. I think he's one of the most important players in the game at the moment. And to me, no disrespect to Jamie Barron, but Will O'Donoghue outperformed Jamie Barron in the 2 games that they played against Waterford last year. How Will O'Donoghue, who was in the midfield all-star last year, I'll never know. But I'm sure that he'll have a bit between his teeth and be, absolutely mad to go again. But when you go down through those names and you're just thinking, we weren't clutching at straws, but we were thinking last year, are there going to be full back problems? Are there going to be cornerback problems? They have a rookie full back, they have a rookie cornerback. And there was no problems. Like, apart from that goal Ryan Taylor got for Clare in the quarter final, when there was probably a lack of communication under a high ball, I think it was between Sean Finn and Barry Nash. That was all, really. There was no other really signs of weakness. And when you go through, like you did there, the variety of scores and how well spread out they are, and how Dermot Burns can hurt you from 5, Hannon can hurt you from 6, and Hayes is like, Hurlin's version of Jack McCaffrey now almost. He's as dangerous going forward. He's more dangerous nearly going forward as a wing back than he is as a centre forward. There's so many strings to their bow now. It'll just be interesting to see, because they will evolve again, and it'll be really interesting to see. Limerick show you everything they have nearly the whole time. There's not usually anything being hidden. So once you see, I'd be interested to see the tip game on Saturday. They will show you probably what they're going to show you in Championship. It'd just be interesting to see how they've evolved. I'd be amazed if things haven't probably kicked on another level. We talked about last year an over-reliance on Aaron Gillane. All of a sudden, that was almost gone in the semi-final, like they did, because he was struggling with a back injury. And then when we're probably, focusing on Hegarty and focusing on Morrissey, Gillane comes up with 4 points in the final. So it'll be interesting to see how they move things on again, because I think back-to-back, they wanted the back-to-back in 19, and only for an absolute inspired performance against Kilkenny, they probably would have gotten it. So I think they'll be going gung-ho for it this year.
Yeah, so it's very hard to actually make a case for Limerick not being as strong as last year, and it's very hard to make a case for other teams bridging the gap up to them. But full forward, Aaron Gillane, if he somehow got injured, that is the one reason that you have a concern for them, because I think pretty much every other position on the field, they can fill the gap somehow or other. But full forward line, if there's a way of shutting him down, maybe there. I mean, Galway did a decent job of it last year in the All-Ireland semi-final. And, going into injury time towards the end of the game, they were within a puck of a ball. One question I wanted to ask you, actually, you did a nice piece with Paul Kinnerk in The Independent a few months back. But I couldn't help but feel that he still wasn't giving away too much at the same time. And I wonder, did he kind of shed too much light on what Limerick are actually doing, or did he leave it somewhat vague at the same time?
No, he probably was a master of shedding some light, but not shedding any light at all in the most complimentary way possible. Like, without, that's the way it is. He's one of these guys. When you're inside that, you're going to be reluctant to say anything that could give anyone motivation, anything that could make it look like there's any element of big-headedness or anything like that. The one thing he did say, and I think was the big takeaway, and I know a lot of people would probably say this, but they want to win as much as they possibly can while they can. They know there's probably a golden era there at the moment, so they are going to try and win everything they possibly can while they can. Even Paddy O'Loughlin leaving the panel is interesting, because this is the most golden period in the history of Limerick hurling, and someone is probably taking a step away from it, which is maybe there's a sign. I don't know. I'm not even sure what I'm implying or referring to, but it is interesting, and it's maybe strange to see that someone would step off the treadmill when it's moving at such a great speed.
But Rory O'Carroll did it with Dublin, Jack McCaffrey did it with Dublin. We've no idea what reason Paddy O'Loughlin, it may have nothing to do with hurling whatsoever, but we're just kind of speculating, because it is interesting to see, because they're so successful. But if you're not, let's imagine it's a hurling reason and a frustration of not getting the game time. You're in the dressing room and everyone's winning, and everyone's delighted, but you're kind of sitting there a little bit frustrated at the same time. And I think if you've been in that situation, you will kind of understand what it's like. Like, it's great for a while winning these things and being part of it, but you kind of want to get out there and play your matches too. Because after a while, putting in all that effort and always being on the bench, I would imagine it's more a source of frustration than anything else, because you're like, that's grand, I have the medals, but now I actually want to be a big contributor. And people say it's all about the panel, but if you're putting your life on hold for it and you're not getting paid for it, it's a little bit different. So I think people have to understand that too. But as I said, we don't know if that's Paddy O'Loughlin's reason. It's more of a general point on it. Just to finish off then, we're brought to you by orgaretro.com, and if you want to get this down jersey, any other jersey, Michael Verney's Limerick jersey there as well, go to orgaretro.com, put in the promo code OurGame. Also, don't forget to go to fantasyhurling.ie and enter your team. We have a league, an OurGame league. It's on my Twitter at Shane Saint. You can find it there and enter. Myself and Verney will be inside in it. And also, just one final point, that if your club needs to raise funds this year, we have online club fundraisers with Our Game. So email at events@ourgame.ie, give you a full information pack. But basically, we'll put on a live show for your club, preview whatever games are coming, whatever's topical at the moment. We'll get some good guests with great stories, and we'll feature your club. And we'll provide the ticketing platform, sell raffle tickets for you if you need as well, and even put in local businesses if they want to support you too. So email events@ourgame.ie.